The Imperial Empress did not expect for Huang Yuli's Qin's skill to be so masterful. Knowing her plan will not come to fruition, she became highly impatient. She just wished for this segment to quickly end and start the next one as soon as possible. Also the others turned their attention to Bai Ruoqi, just flashed within their eyes. The presence of knowing people, Bai Ruoqi's reluctance to perform was understood by everyone. As Bai Ruoqi's turned redder and redder, she finally made up her mind. Biting the bullet she said, "I will perform, the Qin also. I will play for everyone a water from high mountains." She knew the rules of the palace. Performing no matter how bad is still better than refusal. The latter option was to treat the emperor disrespectfully and possibly suffer punishment. At her wit's end, Bai Ruoqi held her cold water Qin and went to the middle. Taking a deep breath, she began to play. Chin raised, Huang Yueli drank her peach wine while listening to Bai Ruoqi. In all fairness, Bai Ruoqi expended quite a lot of effort on her Qin. Her fingering had reached perfection, but she failed to integrate her feelings. So the sounds always felt a bit stiff. Without Huang Yueli's earlier demonstration, a layman would say that Bai Ruoqi's playing is quite good. Sitting on the stage, Bai Ruoqi forced herself to calm down to play the guqin with a calm mind. She must, at least, perform up to her usual standards. She will not allow for them to see any mishaps. However, the more she thought, the harder it was to calm down. Finally, fingers trembled and really missed a note. Finally completing the performance with great difficulty, Bai Ruoqi almost fled back to her seat. Today's performance, not only did she fail to become the object of praise, she also made a mess. Did not even achieve half her usual level. If one must use a words to describe it, it would be rotten. In previous years when she performed in the palace, whether in front of the emperor, Empress Dowager, or Imperial Empress, she would always receive a reward. But today, the faces of these royals remained expressionless, not expressing a single thought. The Imperial Empress' brow twitched a bit, apparently somewhat dissatisfied with her. She intended to rely on Bai Ruoqi to pressure Huang Yueli and dispel the emperor's thoughts on making this girl the crown prince's imperial concubine. Who knew this girl failed to fly at the crucial moment? Even the applause of the audience was sparse, one of purely courtesy. Right after Bai Ruoqi sat down, the Imperial Empress could not wait to announce the next person. Next up is the third young miss from Dingwa Minister House, Liu Yi. Liu Yi smiled and walked to the middle of the stage. Her belt done, footsteps light, she danced a beautiful raiment of rainbows and feathers. Because this was right after 2 Qin performances, it was hard for people not to become bored. Liu Yi's dancing skills always were famous in the capital. As a result, watching now it seemed even more refreshing than usual. It immediately won the applause of all. Sitting under the stage, Bai Ruoqi almost crushed her cup. A dignified aristocratic young lady, what need was there to learn dancing? It's not like she was a prostitute. Such an undignified show, did it deserve such an applause? What made Bai Ruoqi more indignant was the crown prince's enthusiastic applause. Using so much vigor, watching so attentively that his eyeballs were almost glued to Liu Yi's swaying and moving waist. Liu Yi, that wily fox, even dared to seduce the crown prince. You can also listen on. Huang Yueli smirked in response. Second sister, look quickly. Liu Yi's dancing sure is superb. Beautiful but not bewitching, colorful but not gaudy. Truly a young lady from Dingwa government house. This is quality. I also heard that her cultivation talent isn't bad at all, I really respect her. Bai Ruoqi was angered to the point of her liver hurting. Completing her dance, Liu Yi was filled with radiant happiness. She even sent a provocative smile to Bai Ruoqi afterwards. Xinghua General Manners Qi Tanger, military family Jing's young mistress, went on stage one after the other. A blaze of colors, each holding its own merits. Due to Bai Ruochi's first performance, they did not choose the taboo chin. Instead, they prepared other forms of entertainment. This would allow them to escape Huang Yueli's world-astounding performance. The only one to show a dreg-like performance ended being Bai Ruochi only. As Bai Ruochi turned angrier and angrier, she consoled to herself that this talent show was but a charade. It meant nothing. No matter how talented one was in this aspect, it was still strength that spoke waves. Finally, the talent show concluded. Not only Bai Ruochi, even the Imperial Empress felt relieved. This really is a miscalculation. Huang Yueli's limelight was too big. She had to suppress down her glory. Fortunately, the next event was the martial talent competition. It was here that she would utter pummel this trash. There will be no mistake. Regardless of what heavenly skills she possessed, it would be impossible for her to stand back up. As the palace ladies replaced the dishes, everyone drank a few glasses of wine. Gradually, discussions about talent show subsided. The Imperial Empress wasted no time to say, "This royal has heard all of these young ladies are renowned martial experts. Several which are nationally famous female geniuses. Unfortunately, because this royal resides in the royal palace, she has no chance to see." Turning her head, the Imperial Empress smiled at the Emperor. The Imperial Empress wishes to experience this. What difficulty does this pose? The Imperial Tutor is also present, so we shall invite these young ladies to execute a move or two whilst also receiving the pointers of the Imperial Tutor. Imperial Tutor, how does this sound? The Imperial Tutor stroked his beard while laughing. This old man is also interested. If one has enough talent, this old one might consider taking them as his disciple. Eyes bright with happiness, the Emperor said, "That is too good." The Imperial Empress immediately laughed. The Imperial Tutor is our South Yu's fourth realm expert and his fighting experiences are the most abundant. Usually he resides in the palace and only my son the Crown Prince can receive his guidance. To the young ladies present, do not squander this chance. His remark made the entire audience excited. Unexpectedly, not only was it the Imperial concubine selecting banquet, the Imperial Tutor is even considering to take a female disciple. As one of the most influential experts South Yu's countable fourth realm experts, the Imperial Tutor has always been highly respected. There are only a handful of disciples under his tutelage. Apart from the Crown Princes still residing in the palace, the two disciples he took years before had already left South Yu for many years already. That being said, the Imperial Tutor dearly doted on his disciple the Crown Prince. His action of accepting a female disciple is clearly for the Crown Prince. This would aid him and ensure his can firmly plant down his influence. Truly used all his consideration and heart. As for the young ladies present, there were very few who could see through to this level. But this does not hinder their eagerness. Set on this notion, the competition flurried. As Bai Ruochi watched them one by one with her indescribable look, she could not help but sneer. You can also listen on. They are but second-grade talents, third-grade garbage. How could they possibly compare to her? They really thought they would be able to win. They were simply daydreaming. Whether it was the opportunity to become the Imperial Tutor's disciple or the position of Imperial concubine, they were all bound to be hers, Bai Ruochi's. The Imperial Empress coughed and the noise immediately settled. Well then, this royal will announce the rules. This is not an official martial gathering, but a peach blossom banquet, so there are no strict rules. Everyone can freely pick their opponent. Of course, the challenger may refuse as it is all voluntarily. We cannot force others to accept. In the Tianling continent, the martial way is respected. At banquets, a testing of the younger generation's prowess has been a long-time tradition. But due its banquet setting, no formal assessments were in place. As a result, permission and voluntarism was a very important principle to abide by. However, to be challenged yet refuse in such formal occasions like so, it will definitely be a very shameful thing to do. After all, as martial practitioners, to cultivate is already fighting against the heavens. As a result, one can only move forward and never back down. If you encounter a stronger opponent and dare not fight, not only will you gain the despise of others, in more serious cases, it could also affect your future convictions. This will then lead to stagnation. Of course, unless there are special reasons, generally no one would go and challenge those weaker than themselves. This kind of pick-soft persimmon behavior, even if one gained victory, they will be regarded as a scum and with ridicule wherever they go. The Imperial Empress continued, in addition, please be sure to pay attention, as this contest is a friendly trade. Be careful to not cause any casualties. After all, we are young ladies from South Yu's noble houses. It would not serve well to break any good relationships. These the few routine explanations taking up a teacup's worth of time, the remainder was left for the displays for these young ladies. After a moment, a petite round-faced girl stood out and bowed down deeply. She then said, I am the daughter of the Minister of Revenue, Wen Shangshu, Wen Shaowan. My cultivation is the Qi Profound Realm 4th level. I wish to challenge my cousin family, Xia Zhong family's second young miss, Xia Ling. The Imperial Empress nodded her head. Xiao Ling heard this and immediately stood up to begin the battle. In the open ground in front of the Palace of Peace and Tranquility, an enclosed area had already been set up for the bouts of these golden-spooned young ladies. At the edge of the venue were numerous golden-scaled guards hidden along the sides, ready to rush in the event of uncontrolled circumstances. Stopping all battles immediately. The two girls gave the courtesy pre-battle movements and began to move. You go I come, appearing to be very lively. Apart from the imperial and main concubine, the crown prince still needed to select 4 other side concubines. Originally, none of the ladies present possessed anything outstanding or eye-catching. But the current battles gave them the opportunity to leave a small spark of interest in the various princes. Who knows, maybe their battles captured the attention of a certain prince. With someone paving the way, each of the young ladies began to step up and showcase their talents. Amongst the show, there were a few cases of secular and hidden martial skills appearing. This aroused the interest of the imperial tutor and obtained the bestowals of the Imperial Empress. There were even a few golden-spooned young ladies who cultivated agility and speed-related techniques, so their moves and strikes appeared like extremely graceful and elegant dances. Extremely pleasing and attention-grabbing. Very quickly, almost every single young lady had stepped up for a challenge. There were only 3 people who had yet to step onto the stage. They haven't even moved their bottoms from the beginning till now. These 3 people were the seated competitors of the Peach Blossom Banquet. The top 3 candidates were Huang Yueli, Bai Ruoqi and Lu Yi. These 3, each one was a heavyweight character. Furthermore, they all held extremely high chances of becoming the next Imperial Empress. None of these competitors had moved an inch, and displayed no intention of battling. The only reason why no one challenged Huang Yueli was due to her status as a wastrel. To challenge her, they did not have that much face to lose. While the issue of battling Bai Ruoqi and Lu Yi, not enough courage. Who didn't know Bai Ruoqi as the #1 female cultivator of South Yu, the only 4th-grade talent. And with her natural talent and hard work, she had already reached the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm at the tender age of 15. While Lu Yi was only second to the Bai Ruoqi, another talent. 6th level of the Qi Profound Realm at 16 years. As a powerhouse, she also cultivated the Lu family's secret art, Gale Blades. This profound skill was something the Lu ancestor, a 4th realm expert, had handed down to his family. Its power was no laughing matter. As a result, Lu Yi was considered to the second most powerful female cultivator after Bai Ruoqi. With identities such as these relatively talented golden-spooned young ladies could only look from afar. Who held enough courage to challenge them? After all, as daughters of these influential families, their only goal was to display their talents and obtain the good graces of the imperial empress. They had no need to risk their lives. It was simply not worth it. After the other golden-spooned young ladies left the stage, quite some time lapsed by before the next challenge was issued. The entire palace of peace and tranquility settled down. Everyone's gaze traveled and inspected the direction of the sound, by Ruoqi and Lu Yi's side. Of these three people, apart from the trash third young miss, the challengers would naturally be the remaining two. Of these two, either Bai Ruoqi or Lu Yi had made the decision to enter the field. As for their desired opponent, it would definitely be a battle between the two. This would be a true battle between the dragon and tiger. The number 1 and 2 ladies of South Yu battling for their honor and the position of Crown Prince's imperial concubine. As one imagined the scene, emotions welled up inside their heart. Was the question now lay in, who was the one that issued the challenge? And who would be the challenged one? Of the two people, it was finally Lu Yi who stood and walked to the center of the battle stage. Your Imperial Highness, Imperial Empress, my Dingwa House's third young Miss Lu Yi, third great talent had the fortune to break through to the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm 7 days prior. I wish to the challenge Wuwei Manor's second young Miss Bai Ruoqi. As the words left her mouth, quite a few spectators spilled their cups of wine. Qi Profound Realm 7th level. Lu Yi actually reached the Qi Profound Realm 7th level. How could this be? She is only a third-grade talent, how could she possibly cultivate this fast? You can also listen on. This you don't know. From what I hear, Dingwa House has recently invited the assistance of Power's alchemist and specially asked him to refine a few pills to assist Lu Yi. Only then was she able to advance to the Qi Profound Realm's 7th level. From what I remember, Bai Ruoqi is also at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm. Since this is the case, Lu Yi and Bai Ruoqi have the same cultivation. That's right. Lu Yi really hit it deeply. If she is able to defeat Bai Ruoqi this time, it would truly become an astonishing affair. As Lu Yi listened to the envious and admiration-filled discussions around her, she could no longer conceal the smile on her face. In the past, her position in the hearts of others had always been second place. No matter how much she strived or how hard she worked to become strong, Bai Ruoqi was always a step ahead. Now her cultivation had caught up to Bai Ruoqi. Furthermore, she held her family's Gale's blades, a killing ace within her grasp. For two people of the same cultivation, with her arsenal, her winning chances are much higher than Bai Ruoqi. She definitely could defeat Bai Ruoqi today and snatch the seat of imperial concubine. Lu Yi could practically see victory in front of her, defeated Bai Ruoqi and elevating the respect the crown princes held for her to a whole new level. Raising her eyebrow, she laughed at Bai Ruoqi. Bai Ruoqi, do you dare accept? If you are afraid of losing face, you may refuse. After all, Her Highness did say these battles are all about free will. Bai Ruoqi nearly laughed out loud. After bottling up so much anger today, she finally had an opportunity to let it all out. Since Lu Yi delivered herself to her doors, then naturally she would not refuse. As long as she was able to showcase her prowess to everyone on sight and suppress Lu Yi, no matter how bad of an impression the Empress Dowager held of her, it would have no effect. This is the power of strength. In a straightforward manner, Bai Ruoqi rose from her seat and replied, Lu Yi, did you really think that your promotion to the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm is enough to pose a threat to me? Lu Yi replied in a tone that implied she held confidence in her victory, we shall see once I try. What, you do not dare? Why would I not dare? Humph, today I will show you just how large of a difference there is between a 4th grade talent and 3rd grade talent. In the battle space, the two parties faced each other. Before the battle could even commence, fire and lightning erupted from their eyes. As soon as the Imperial Empress said the word begin, Louis could not wait but to attack first. Furthermore, her first move was her family's skill, Gale Blades. Gasps erupted from all around. Ah, so this is Gale Blades. From what I hear, it is a black level lower grade profound skill. So amazing. From the recounts, Gale Blade has the ability to seriously injure an opponent one small level above them. Previously, Bairuochi possessed a higher cultivation and could still resist. But now with the same cultivations, how will Bairuochi defend against this? Such a powerful move. If it were me, I would have been sent flying already. Even the emperor couldn't help himself but cry out, this girl Louis is really not simple. As the number female cultivator, Bairuochi might have to give her title away. Just as Louis's execution was swift as lightning, all her attention and powerful focused on this one move. She made her decision. She was determined to knock down Bairuochi with his one move and win cleanly. As the incoming Gale Blades brought an imposing rush of profound chi, it rushed and enveloped Bairuochi. Quite clearly, Louis used all her efforts for this one move. Just as this 1,000-pound might was about land, Bairuochi actually laughed out crisply. Louis, you did not think that you could rely on this measly Gale Blade to defeat me? You can also listen on. As those words just finished, they heard a loud paw sound. Bairuochi did not dodge at all, in fact she counterattacked. Throwing out a hand, Bairuochi disarmed Louis's offensive strike and sent it hurtling back towards her. Bang! Louis was sent flying instantly towards the outside of the stage. Luckily the golden-scaled guards monitoring the event flew out in time, catching Louis in a timely manner. Regardless, she had been sent flying by Bairuochi's cruel strike. A trail of blood leaking from the corner of her mouth. This change was too sudden. Just then, it was still Louis who held the upper hand. Yet in a single move, she was defeated by Bairuochi. Everyone looked at each other, unable to believe their eyes. Although Bairuochi is pronounced as the nation's #1 female, for her to triumph over the newly promoted Louis was a great surprise. Louis was at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm and had used all of her strength. Yet she was unable to even harm a hair on Bairuochi. Was Bairuochi that powerful? Struggling up, Louis looked at her in an incredulous manner. You, Bairuochi, did you break through? You are no longer at the Qi Profound Realm, right? Proudly, Bairuochi lifted her chin and looked down at Louis's face. Filled with arrogance, her glistening eyes revealed her disdain. Heh, Louis, you discovered it as expected. You did not predict I would actually be ahead of you. Did you assume I would also be at the Qi Profound Realm 7th level? Let me tell you, since you can break through, others can as well. Eyes stretching wide, she stared unrelentlessly at her. This cannot be, this cannot be. You were still at the 7th level of the Qi Profound Realm just 3 months ago. How could you break through to the 8th level so quickly? 8th level. Bairuochi sneered, look carefully at what level I really am at. As she said this, she began to release qi from her body and increasing her presence to the maximum. In an instant, everyone felt a suffocating pressure on their bodies. Qi Profound Realm, 9th level. The Crown Prince was the first to react, and cried out in shock. What? It's actually the Qi Profound Realm 9th level. What jokes are you making? Bairuochi is at the Qi Profound Realm 9th level. You're kidding me, right? Are you sure you did not make a mistake anywhere, for how can she possibly break through that quickly? If you were to say she is at the 8th level, then it would still be believable. But the 9th level, this is too mind-blowing. But, even the Crown Prince said so. He could not have made a mistake, right? The various golden-spooned young ladies below the stage were much weaker in comparison to Bai Ruochi, so they could only sense she had grown in power. As for the exact growth margin, they were under to tell. But the Crown Prince was far superior to Bai Ruochi. Once he sensed her chi, he was immediately able to tell her cultivation. Revealing a victorious smile, Bai Ruochi bowed in the direction of the royal family. She then said in a loud voice, reporting to the Emperor, Empress Dowager, Imperial Empress, Imperial Tutor, Cheer broke through to the 9th level just last night. Due to this sudden breakthrough, she had yet to announce this. The Emperor displayed an expression of shock. You really have reached the 9th level of the Chi Profound Realm. Cheer, you are only 15, right? 9th level of the Chi Profound Realm at 15 years. Imperial Tutor, you were also at level in youth, right? Holding his beard, the Imperial Tutor was full of smiles. Not bad. This child is not simple. Did not expect that apart from the Crown Prince, our South Yu produced another genius. You can also listen on. The Imperial Empress beamed with a smile. She had, long in her heart, selected Bai Ruochi as her daughter-in-law. So she was afraid of Huang Yueli inserting herself into the mix. The Imperial Empress was pretty upset of Bai Ruochi's crushing defeat at the showcase earlier and thought she lacked skills. She couldn't even surpass that straw-bag young sister of hers. Unexpectedly, only an half-hour later, Bai Ruochi gave her a big surprise. Chi Profound Realm 9th level. This was the Chi Profound Realm 9th level. What did this mean for her to reach this stage at 15 years? Great importance was attached to cultivation. The faster one broke through in their early years, the greater heights they would reach in the future. If Bai Ruochi could successfully enter the defensive Profound Realm next year, then she was likely to reach the height of the Imperial Tutor, 4th Realm, Dan Profound Realm. In the country of South Yu, experts of this level could be counted. The Crown Prince's potential was already very good, so if this imperial concubine could also reach this level, then who could threaten his position? The Crown Prince himself was clearly aware of this point. His outlook towards Bai Ruochi was completely different than before. If the Crown Prince only considered marrying Lu Yi, then currently he could only see Bai Ruochi in his vision. Lu Yi, of course, was also very beautiful. More so, her personality was much more amicable than Bai Ruochi's. However, who asked Bai Ruochi's to have such amazing cultivation? Power is the fundamental and crucial deciding factor. So, his imperial concubine could only be Bai Ruochi. As for Lu Yi, she could only be a side concubine. Only Empress Dowager had a gloomy expression. Her gaze towards Bai Ruochi was not favorable. A pity, she could not say anything at all. With the strength of Bai Ruochi, even with her questionable character, it was nothing strange. After all, in this world, the strong suppressed the weak. Bai Ruochi held the potential to become a first-class powerhouses, while Bai Ruoli was born a wastrel. To be bullied by her older sister was all due to her bad luck. A trace of a smile hung on Bai Ruochi's face. She slowly looked at the audience, watching each and every person's expression. All these young ladies who were point fingers earlier in the event, now did not dare to even look at her. They feared she would come to them for revenge. Bai Ruochi raised her chin slightly, feeling very happy inside. Today at the Peach Blossom Banquet, the stifling breath she had been holding in her chest could be finally released. The Emperor was very happy. His appreciation of Bai Ruochi raised greatly. He rewarded her with numerous cultivational pills and profound armaments. Even the imperial tutor viewed her in a positive light. He called her to the front and carefully asked about her cultivation. Finally, the imperial tutor's face showed a satisfied smile. "Oh, this disciple, this old man will take it." When Bairuochi heard this, she quickly knelt down and immediately commenced the ritual master-disciple. She kowtowed 3 times and solidified their relationship. Disciples who held the potential to reach the 4th realm were very rare. So the imperial tutor and Bairuochi were all contented. The imperial tutor smiled and looked his newly acknowledged disciple. He then looked at the crown prince and said to the emperor, "Your Highness, since this old one has selected a disciple, then your affair should not be decided already." The affair was naturally the issue of the crown prince's spouse. The emperor heard this. He pondered for a long time but did not respond. You can also listen on. Bai Liufeng's past friendship with the emperor was still remembered. He did not wish for others to say that he was someone to burn past bridges after crossing. So even with the many years of disappearance, the emperor continued to abide by his promise of engaging his daughter to the crown prince. Even after so many years of the imperial empress's constant ear-blowing in regards to Bairuoli's appealing reputation, the emperor refused to show the slightest hint of wavering. He never could make the final decision. Furthermore, when he saw that Bai Liufeng's daughter grew to be quite attractive, graceful and elegant, and so skilled in the qin. Apart from her inability to cultivate, she did not have any shortcomings, causing the emperor to be unable to say any words of refusal. But Bairuochi was far too outstanding. At age 15, she had reached the 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm. If she were to grow without a hitch, then there would be a high possibility of her becoming a 4th realm expert. These kind of experts were very sparse in South Yu. If he did not solidify a relationship through marriage now between the crown prince and Bairuochi, then it would be very hard for them to establish one in the future. As the reigning monarch, he must make decisions for the good of his country. Sinking into a dilemma, there were several instances where the words were at the tip of his mouth but he still hesitated in the end. Even the Empress Dowager was wavering. Although she was up in her years, that case that happened earlier in the morning in the peach blossom orchard, she still remembered it clearly. Bairuochi's strength was immense, the Empress Dowager was well aware of this fact. If they allowed her to become the crown prince's imperial concubine, it would be most appropriate choice. But she still felt unsettled and indignant about this choice. Bairuochi, this girl, possessed a malicious heart, not even sparing her own cousin. Even falling to such rotten tricks. Girls who use such questionable methods, if allowed to enter the royal palace, who knows how chaotic things will become. Furthermore, with such character, how could she take the role as the country's mother? Role model to the girls under the sky. Thinking over this repeatedly, the Empress Dowager felt stifled inside and huffed out, "Emperor, deciding the crown prince's imperial concubine just like this, isn't this too rash?" What intentions does royal mother mean? Sweeping a look over by Ruochi, the Empress Dowager said, "Ai Jia has some words she wishes to say to the emperor. Selecting the crown prince's concubine must first be discussed before announcing the final verdict. But, royal mother, the Bai's family's second young miss has such outstanding talent. And has always held a reputation of a virtuous and kind lady. She is the most suitable candidate. Is there a need to consider it?" Hearing those words, the imperial empress turned anxious. Study of the Palace of Peace and Tranquility. The emperor, the Empress Dowager, the imperial tutor and the imperial empress were seated and discussing in hushed tones. The Empress Dowager's face turned bad in an instant. "Emperor, there are some words that Ai Jia cannot say. This Bairuochi has bad character and is not suitable to become our royal family's daughter-in-law." Not expecting such words, the emperor was at a loss. "Royal mother, what do you mean by these words? Immediately the Empress Dowager recounted the events that occurred earlier in the day clearly for the Emperor to judge. No one expected that such events would pass at such a time. In an instant, everyone became dumbfounded. Flabbergasted, the Emperor said, "Royal Mother, you are certain of this? How could this be? Cheer is someone we watched grow up from young, always kind and virtuous. How could she possibly do such things?" The Empress Dowager replied, "How is this not possible? One can know a person for a long time without understanding their true nature. Dr. Lu has already admitted to this. Today's affairs were something she brought upon herself. Who else could collude with Dr. Lu? And who else could possibly advance to the 9th level of the Chi Profound Realm so quietly?" Hearing this, the Emperor also felt this was quite unusual. A resounding slap ringing on his face. Preposterous. Zhen had especially reminded by Lu Jing to carefully look after the daughter by Lu Jing left behind. He agreed readily and willingly, but indulged in the mistreatment of his niece. How is this just mere indulging? Bai Lu Jing is the current master of the house. Without his approval, how could Bai Ruoqi and the others dare to act so atrociously? Reaching this point, the Empress Dowager recalled something else and appeared for indignant. "That's right, there's that consort Shu. Previously I always regarded her a magnanimous lady, but to save her niece from those crimes, she dared to say anything. In front of Ai Jia, she dared to spout killing all for silence. Humph, treating Ai Jia as a retarded senior unable to see through anything." Furiously the Emperor exploded, "This ignorant and stupid woman, unable to distinguish between right and wrong, wasting the dotingly Jin usually gives her. Jin immediately orders her to enter the cold palace." When the Imperial Empress heard this, she turned blank. She felt both delight and worry. Delight because Consort Shu was currently the most doted-on woman in the harem and had long been unable to bear this fox. Unfortunately, Consort Shu always treaded very carefully, never making a mistake. Thus, she never could capture a weakness of hers. But this time, Consort took the initiative to offend the Empress Dowager. She had personally paved the path to her doom. She estimated that she would lose all favor this time. What made her worry was the definitive tone of the Empress Dowagers. Did that hint that she is insistent on Bai Ruoqi's crime? Saying that she held no right to marry into the royal family? The Imperial Empress did not think this way. Only someone powerful would be worthy of matching her crown prince. So what if her character is somewhat poorer? This conclusion is much better than being married to another prince, right? When she thought of this point, the Imperial Empress quickly opened her mouth. "Royal Mother, you are certain it is Cheer who acted from behind the scenes? Did you not just say that the criminal is only Dr. Lu, this one person? And it is only because he was captured that he confessed. As for the evidence, it has yet to be found. To solidify Bai Ruoqi's crimes now, isn't this a bit too hasty?" "What? You mean to say, AIG's analysis is incorrect?" the Empress Dowager asked, somewhat displeased. Hurriedly the Imperial Empress responded, No, this concubine did not mean that. It is only, Bai Ruoqi's current identity is somewhat special. Reaching the 9th level of the Chi Profound Realm at 15 years old, an extraordinary talent. If not even one trustworthy piece of evidence has been produced, but her crimes already pinned, if this were to spread out, would this not become the Emperor's fault? Note, for those confused, Crown Prince is the son of the Imperial Empress, i.e. is the official and #1 waifu of the Emperor. Empress Dowager, if the mother of Consort Shu, is a harem member and aunt to BRQ. CS is one of 4 consorts who have the highest status under IE. You can also listen on. Ashen-faced was the Empress Dowager. Although she understood what the Imperial Empress was conveying, but when she recalled the trickery by family of Wu Manor playing her like a fool, she could not help but be angered. Ai Jia did not say that she is condemning Bai Ruoqi of her crimes now. Shouldn't everything be investigated first, right? We still need to wait a few days for evidence to be found. As the Imperial Empress was struggling to produce an appropriate response, the Imperial Tutor spoke out. Your Highness Empress Dowager, forgive this old man's words. Even if we find evidence, we cannot declare second young Miss Bai's crime. Glaring, the Empress Dowager replied with displeasure, Imperial Tutor, Ai Jia and the Emperor have always held high regard for you. But you cannot disregard state law. Although Bai Ruoqi is your disciple, since there is evidence for her crime, she must accept the consequences. Then I ask your Highness, what crimes are you condemning Bai Ruoqi? Frankly speaking, she merely plotted against her own younger sister and this did not implicate any lives. Frankly, these are all affairs of Wu Manor. Even if it were the royal family, you cannot freely butt into the family affairs of another, right? Even if Dr. Lu's words are true, it only proves that Bai Ruoqi's character is bad, it is not enough to imprison her. This, the Imperial Tutor spoke with justice and logic, shutting the Empress Dowager up in an instant. The Empress Dowager knew the Imperial Tutor was only acting on behalf of his new disciple to shed her of her crimes. Yet she could not refute in any way. This was because the Imperial Tutor's words were all correct. This was a matter between young ladies of the family. And according to logic, outsiders held no rights to meddle in their affairs. If it weren't because Bai Ruoli being the daughter of Bai Lu Feng, it would be impossible for her to butt in. Furthermore, the Imperial Tutor had a very high standing. Just like the Imperial Empress, she could not force them to abide by her wishes. Wrinkling her brows, the Empress Dowager said, this would not be considered a crime, but she can't possibly become the imperial concubine of the crown princes. Imperial concubine to the crown prince, would be the future imperial empress, mother of the country. With her character, how will she be a good role model to young girls? This will impact the fate of your country. The Imperial Tutor replied, absolutely improbable, Your Highness Empress Dowager. If we do allow Bai Ruoqi to the crown prince's concubine, this would be the thing to impact the fate of our country. This words. How come Ai Jia does not understand? The Imperial Tutor began to explain, Your Highness Empress Dowager, think about this carefully. So many small countries surround South Yu and their power is about the same. Which country does not wish to obtain a future Fourth Realm expert as their Imperial Empress? If our crown prince is unwilling to take Bai Ruoqi as his imperial concubine, this might give other royal households to snatch her away. These words troubled the emperor. During this time, he listened to the conversation between the Empress Dowager and Imperial Tutor from the side and did not speak up until now. He could no longer help himself. Imperial Tutor, your words make sense. Furiously the Empress Dowager cut in, even if this is the case, we cannot allow her to become the Imperial Empress. Anyway, Ai Jia does not agree to wed her to the Crown Prince. Apart from the Crown Prince, are there not many other princes? The third prince is also a fourth-grade talent, although a bit inferior, he can barely qualify. Hearing this, the Imperial Empress was all the more anxious. What she feared most was the third prince taking her future daughter-in-law. Your Highness Empress Dowager, quell your anger. Although the difference between a fourth-grade talent and fifth-grade talent is merely a single grade, but this difference is as different as the sky and earth. How would Bai Ruoqi be willingly to wed the third prince? The Empress Dowager knew this as well. She spoke the truth, but the Empress Dowager remained angered. Why would she be unwillingly? After all, the person with the engagement to the crown prince is Bai Liufeng's daughter Bai Ruoli. She is the cockatoo occupying the magpie's nest. You can also listen on. The emperor let loose a sigh, feeling somewhat at a loss. That's right. Despite Bai Ruoqi's crimes, if we allowed her to become the Crown Prince's imperial concubine, how would I possibly explain to Bai Lufeng if he returns? Sigh, I've just recalled how just he was. If this promise was to be broken where Jin also allows his daughter to be bullied, how can there still be justice? The imperial tutor snorted from the side and turned a bit depressed. He remembered when Bai Lufeng was still a child, the imperial tutor was already a top expert of South Yu. At that time, when the imperial tutor saw Bai Lufeng who just entered the first realm of cultivators, he wished to take that child as his disciple. But the result? He was rejected by this commoner-born child. The imperial tutor had always been an easy-to-anger person with low tolerance. At the time of his rejection, he felt very offended. But he could not find an opportunity to take revenge. The reason being the sheer speed of Bai Liufeng's advancement. It was flying fast, a speed that far surpassed the imaginations of people like the imperial tutor. Superior talent, 8th grade talent. At the age of 17, he had reached the 4th realm and stood on equal footing at the imperial tutor. In the next few years, it was a path of breakthroughs. Afterwards, the imperial tutor could not longer tell the level Bai Lufeng had attained. Not only this, Bai Lufeng had replaced his position and became the one the emperor relied on most and trusted most. Fortunately, after a few years, Bai Lufeng mysteriously disappeared, allowing the imperial tutor to regain his lost position. But the degree of trust the emperor held for Bai Lufeng always far surpassed the imperial tutor's. He did not expect that even after so many years of Bai Liufeng's disappearance, the emperor would still feel guilt over the mistreatment of his daughter. When the imperial tutor heard the emperor's words, the imperial tutor's mood turned foul. In his eyes, no matter the contribution Bai Lufeng had given, those were all past affairs. Under the current circumstance, Bai Ruoli is a typical trash. Without the protection of her daddy, she should not obstruct the crown prince and affect his future and the future of the country. Stroking his beard, he frowned slightly and sank deep into thought. Suddenly his eyes flashed with an idea. Your Majesty, this old one has an idea. That year you promised Lord Bai, you did not necessarily mean Bai Ruoli and the crown prince Ah. You did not forget this, right? Startled, the emperor replied, What? How could this be? Jin clearly remembered that we were in the Eastern Lotus Pavilion of the Yu Garden. At that time, Madame Bai had just fallen pregnant and had accompanied her husband into the royal palace. Mo Jun was only 6 at the time, and his talent had already been revealed. When Lufeng saw this, he was very pleased and Jin brought it up as a joke. Recalling the memory, the emperor suddenly revealed an expression of surprise and stopped speaking. The imperial tutor chuckled and laughed. My emperor, you have remembered? At the time, this old one was also present and heard the dialogue between you and Bai Lufeng. The child in Madame Bai's stomach, if a female, would naturally be the most talented female, while the crown prince is the most talented male. If the two most talented children were to become a pair, their children would be golden boys and jade maidens. A match made in heaven. The emperor continued, That's right, Jin did say this. Laughing, the imperial tutor continued his recount. My emperor, please look. What you said at the time was to bestow South Yu's most talented female as his spouse, so naturally this still means the crown prince and Bai Ruoqi. This is completely unrelated to Bai Ruoli Ah. But, the emperor continued to waver, if we must explain like this, wouldn't this be a bit too forced? Back then, these words were clearly directed at the child in Madame Bai's stomach, as such for Jin's words. Furthermore, it was for Bai Lufeng that Jin, current schedule, 6 regular happy doses a week. You can also listen on. The imperial empress quickly voiced her support. The imperial tutor speaks the truth. This concubine was also present at the time, so she heard those exact same words. Not to mention Bai Ruoqi is also Bai Liufeng's niece. By choosing her, the emperor is giving them great favor. As the proverb says, one pen cannot write two names. How can we say we are letting down Lord Bai? As the imperial empress spoke, her eyes shone with a grateful light. Originally she was still distressing over how to convince the emperor and empress dowager. But she was restricted by her harem status, so those words could not be said. The imperial tutor thus assisted her immensely. If she is able to make Bai Ruochi the crown prince's imperial concubine, she must prepare a few precious gifts to really thank the imperial tutor. That year when the crown prince became his disciple, it was the correct choice. Listening to this, the emperor thought those words sounded fair and did not refute them. Thinking over it, the imperial empress dowager spoke out carefully to supplement her previous words. Emperor, allowing Bai Ruoli to marry into the palace may not necessarily be helping her. If you truly wish the best for her, then you should not make her the crown prince's imperial concubine. And this way, you will be truly making the best decision for Bai Lu Feng. The emperor frowned at those words. What do you mean by those words? The imperial empress explained, apart from the imperial concubine, the crown prince also has 4 side concubines. All positions and titles that must be given in accordance to the law. As for these 4 side concubines, each must be chosen from prestigious families, all with talents of the 2nd grade or higher. Bai Ruoli possesses a physique that does not allow her to cultivate, so even if she were to sit on the position of imperial concubine, how can she possibly suppress the 4 side concubines? I'm afraid in the crown prince's palace, it would be hard to avoid being bullied every day. This was a big fact. A very reasonable argument. As a result, after listening to their arguments, the emperor's biggest misgiving had been expelled. All that remained was a final sliver of hesitation. But Wu Wei Manor did mistreat Bai Ruoli. This is very simple, the imperial tutor cut in this time. My emperor, you can make a personal edict to punish Bai Lu Jing to denounce him of his crimes, but leave Bai Ruochi out. Is he not forcefully occupying Bai Ruoli's personal assets? Order him to return at double the value to Bai Ruoli and apologize on the spot. And for his daughter's future, he will definitely agree. The emperor nodded his head. The imperial tutor continued at this signal. As for Bai Ruoli's matters, this can be easily solved. Since there are still so many other princes needing to select their concubines, apart from the crown prince, whichever one she takes fancy to shall be given to her for marriage. She is already a lord, so we might as well add the title of princess. For the marriage dowry, we shall give her the same status like a princess. In this way, who will dare complain that the emperor is mistreating Bai Liufeng's daughter? Considering for a period more, the emperor finally gave in. The imperial tutor speaks great truth, then we shall act like so. The emperor and company left the study and returned to the banquet hall. Unexpectedly, it was not tranquil at all. Just as the emperor and company left, the Bai Ruochi slowly walked down from the stage. On the way, not a single golden-spooned young lady dared to make eye contact. The entire hall was exceptionally quiet. Intimidating the entire scene, Bai Ruochi felt quite pleased. She turned her head to look at Bai Ruochi. She wished to see how clever and eloquent, crafty this damned girl could still be. Could she possibly be shivering from head to toe, paralyzed to putty? On the contrary, the truth was the opposite of what she imagined. Huang Yueli did not shake from fear, nor was she greatly startled. So much, that she didn't even bat an eye in Bai Ruochi's general direction. Head tilted, she supported it with one hand on the table, while her other hand picked up a piece of peach paste to slowly sample it. You can also listen on. Furthermore, as she ate, she also smacked her lips in a most indulging way. Happiness plastered across her entire face. Bai Ruochi practically turned green and couldn't help but say, Bai Ruoli, what are you doing? Only then did Huang Yueli notice her. Turning her head, she blinked her large watery eyes and displayed an innocent and pure smile. She then ate the remaining half of the peach cake. Second sister, I'm eating peach cakes. You couldn't have never tried them before. Let me tell you this is very delicious, sweet and fragrant, soft and sticky. The royal palace's chef's skills are too good. Hurry up and come taste them. Bairuochi's forehead muscles tensed together as a flaming ball of anger rose in her heart, about to explode any minute. Everyone else looked at Huang Yueli in shock as they wondered if third young Miss Bai's brain was broken or too filled with sheet. Could she not see? Bairuochi planned to seek her debts. Just then in front of the Empress Dowager, Huang Yueli made Bairuochi suffer such a big loss and nearly captured for punishment. So now after Bairuochi's display of her prowess, she planned to use her power to prove her unshakable status. Bairuochi planned to take revenge for the past event. As long as she did not disfigure or disable Huang Yueli, in face of her astonishing talent, the emperor will not punish her too severely. Was Huang Yueli unable to make heads or tails of the circumstances or what? Instead of hurriedly begging for forgiveness, she was still in the mood to eat. And deliberately brought a piece over for Bairuochi to eat. Later, she wouldn't even know how she died. Only Li Moying did not worry for Huang Yueli in the slightest. He was looking at the little fox with a mixture of love and hate. Looking at the remains of the cake still lingering on her tender lips, he resisted the urge to rush over and lick it off. This little thing, why, even her calculating manner appeared so adorable. Every time he wished to give up, he could not help but pay attention to her. Every time, without reason, his gaze was drawn back to her. Only, this adorable wittiness did not belong to him. Choking for a moment and maybe because Bairuochi's opinion of herself had changed, she did not flare up in anger. Looking at Huang Yueli with hatred, she questioned, Bairuoli, your stupidity act, did you really not see my display just then? You did not see my cultivation. Huang Yueli batted her eyes, I really didn't take notice, it's all because the cake is too tasty. This caused Bairuochi to erupt. Bairuoli, you still dare act? When did I act? Huang Yueli's voice sounded as innocent as it could be. Clenching her teeth, Bairuochi glared at her. She could not believe it. Even with things reaching this degree, this damned girl she still held the ability to anger people to death. If changed to normal times, she would have long taken out her whip. Fortunately she had some sense, she knew that if she acted this way in front of the emperor, the titles of vicious and merciless will truly be solidified on her name. Now, even though her current reputation was a bit tarnished, it could not influence her becoming the crown prince's imperial concubine. But she did not wish for others to see her make a fool of herself again. Realizing this point, Bairuochi released a breath and forcibly smothered the rage within. Bairuoli, the events earlier this morning, you forgot this quickly. In front of the Empress Dowager, you deliberately framed me ruining my name. You want this matter to pass over so easily. You can also listen on. But, Huang Yueli vacantly muttered, second sister, I know that you lost face this morning and still feel very angry. But that isn't really related to me, right? Did you hear me say a single bad word about you? No, right? Everything said was through Dr. Lu's own mouth. Everyone here can bear witness for me. Bairuochi refuted in rage, shut up. Let's see who dares testify for you. Come out. Everyone lowered their heads, not daring to make a peep. The previous Bairuoli didn't have any friends, so naturally no one would step out sacrifice themselves for her. As for these golden-spooned young ladies, even if they couldn't bear it, who would willingly put themselves in harm's way for someone they didn't even consider a friend? The person they will be offending will be the crown prince's imperial concubine. This caused Bairuochi to look at Huang Yueli in triumph. Do you see, no one can testify for you. This proves that you are lying. Clearly it was you who deliberately slandered me and drugged your own cousin in the royal palace. Our by family, how could we produce such a heartless and dog-hearted thing? Huang Yueli's slender fingers turned around to point at her own nose. Eyes wide open, her luscious eyelashes fluttered, much like a newborn forest fawn. Second sister, you are talking about me. Pooh! From the seats of the princes, a sound came through and shattered the silence. Everyone turned their heads to see the immortal-like King Yu take out a silk handkerchief to slowly wipe his mouth. His expression indifferent. Why are you all looking at this king? It was merely an accidental choke. Fiercely, Bai Ruoqi glanced at Li Moying without the slightest bit of respect. Although she did not know the reason for Prince Yu's intervention, but he was but a trash prince. In front of Bai Ruoqi's current strength, even if he were a prince, he still must show some courtesy to her. Let alone, Prince Yu who could not cultivate. If Prince Yu planned to be the hero-saving beauty, Bai Ruoqi will not give him any face. But Li Moying did not reveal any expressions, and casually waved his hand. And, do not mind this king. You, continue. Only the gods knew if he truly intended to break the fight between the two. Huang Yueli's expression when she was playing with others was just too amusing to watch. So he momentarily lost control of himself and let out a small laugh. As a result, he could only hurriedly pretend to wipe his mouth. Speaking of which, His Highness Prince was quite melancholic. If this was seen through by that little fox, that he still cared very much about her words, oh how embarrassing that will be, oh dear. At least he was sensible. Bai Ruoqi coldly snorted and turned her head back around to continue to speak to Huang Yueli. Don't act stupid with me. I am speaking about you. Huang Yueli on the other hand, was still looking at Li Moying. But Li Moying had shifted to the side, a clear sign that he did not wish to look at her. As feelings of sadness were bubbling, this caused her to miss Bai Ruoqi's words. Looking at her, Bai Ruoqi was furious at her gall to be lost in thought. Bai Ruoli. Did you hear me? This looked like a shouting lioness, with a loud enough volume. Huang Yueli could no longer pretend to not hear her. Scratching her ear, she looked at her innocently. I am listening. Second sister, please lower your volume, for you are South Yu's #1 virtuous lady. Shouting so loudly would be quite embarrassing, don't act naive. Bai Ruoli, let me tell you, today's events will not pass this easily. Then, what do you wish to do to me? You can also listen on. Huang Yueli asked this question purely out of curiosity. Unfortunately Bai Ruoqi misunderstood this as fear. She looked at Huang Yueli chillingly and said, very simple, I will give you 2 paths. Which 2? The first road will be you kowtowing to me 3 times and sincerely apologizing. The kowtows must be loud enough so I can clearly hear them. Otherwise, you will kowtow until I am satisfied. Huang Yueli could not help but chuckle inside. Bai Ruoqi really had a dark heart. If the sound was not loud enough, then she would deliberately make things difficult. If she could not hear anything, she must continue until there were sounds. By then her head would have probably be bleeding from all that smashing. There were even reports of people smashing their head unconscious. Moreover, physical injury will be a trivial matter. To be tormented by someone like so, they would have lost their face all the way back home. She asked again, then, the second path. A touch of sneer formed on Bai Ruoqi's face. The second path, since you are unwilling to apologize, for common people to denounce skilled cultivators is a great sin. Even if they were killed by the practitioner, it will still be reasonable. Of course, you are my cousin. It will be impossible for me to kill you, I will just draw on your face so you can no longer seduce men. And then things will be settled. Huang Yueli revealed an astonished expression. Wait, so second sister means to say is, I need to ruin my face. Do you need to so ruthless? I am your cousin. What's the matter? You are a waste who dared to slander me. This can already be considered lenient. Practitioners naturally hold higher statuses than normal people, as they are holders of life and death. This is the same in any country. But second sister, you are a soft and tender girl from a wealthy family. Not only this, you are known to be a model example of a lady. By acting so viciously, are you not afraid of others calling you a female snake scorpion? Hearing these words, Bairuochi nearly went crazy. Everyone already thinks I am a female snake scorpion. Even the Empress Dowager thinks so. Who caused this? Bairuoli, let me tell you, I do not care anymore. Today you will either kowtow or ruin your face. Huang Yueli patted her chest with a scared expression. Weakly she asked, then, if I do not choose either? Bairuochi sneered. That cannot do. Give you 3 breaths to decide. If you do not, I will choose for you. 3, 2, 1. Bairuochi quickly counted down, giving no pause or rest. After a few moments, she immediately muttered a stupid and took out a dagger. Smiling, she walked towards Huang Yueli. It seems you want me to help you choose. Then I will choose to disfigure you. Oh, do not run, for running is useless. I did not run. Huang Yueli blinked her eyes, looking like an obedient child, but in her heart she was sneering. Bairuochi, Bairuochi, a real representation of walking the path to one's own doom. Since she liked to receive the despise of others so much, then she will let her know what is disfigurement. Otherwise, wouldn't she be giving up on their closely sisterly bond? Step by step Bairuochi inched forward and closed the distance between the two. Many golden-spooned young ladies did not have the heart to watch, so they closed their eyes. In their point of view, it would be fundamentally impossible for Huang Yueli to resist to. Once she fell into the hands of Bairuochi, will certainly be miserable. No one could save her. Lui cried out from the edge, Bairuochi, you don't be impulse You can also listen on. Unfortunately, Bairuochi did not even place that person in her eyes, not sparing a single glance. Huang Yueli smirked. Gathering her profound energy in the palm of her hand, she prepared to give Bairuochi an unforgettable lesson. Before she could send this strike out, an imposing and dignified voice echoed from the entrance. What are you doing? Your Majesty. Respects to His Majesty. Frightened, a sheen of cold sweat appeared on Bairuochi. Hurriedly, she hid the knife into her bosom and adjusted her malevolent expression, as well as her body posture. This was also quite unexpected for Huang Yueli. Just as Bairuochi's knife was about to fall and land into her intricate plan, she had to retract her profound strength. Copying the moves of others, she quickly paid her respects. With an expression of displeasure, the emperor addressed Bairuochi, Bairuoli, what were you two doing? Heart-jumping, Bairuochi continued to maintain that expression of tranquilness as she replied, responding to the emperor, we were not doing anything. I was only exchanging a few words with third sister. Exchanging? What were you exchanging about? Wrinkling his brow, the emperor sent out his imposing aura and appeared more awe-inspiring. On this return trip with the Empress Dowager, they could already hear the commotion from afar. They specially asked the eunuch to not announce their arrival and walk over to catch them off guard. What they saw was the two by-family young ladies about to break out into a fight. Did not think that from such a short time of absence, these two were able to start quarreling. It could be seen that the Empress Dowager's previous words were not exaggerated in the least. The displeasure could be seen in the emperor's eyes and severe was his tone. Heart beating rapidly, Bairuochi hastily kneeled down. Calm your anger, your majesty. We were really exchanging a few words and failed to take note of the occasion and spoke in slightly loud voices. Offending the emperor as well as the several empresses, this is all Cheer's fault. Hearing that our words were not sincere, the emperor turned to question Huang Yuli. Lear, how would you explain what is happening? Turning her head, Bairuochi used a hidden and dark gaze to hint at Huang Yuli to threaten her. On the contrary, Huang Yuli did not bother with her and replied, Your Majesty, we were just talking about the events that occurred in the peach blossom orchard earlier this morning. Second sister, she drugged my wine but ended up harming herself. Yet she says that I was slandering her. Bairuochi immediately interrupted her. Enough. Bairuoli. That was you who wished to tarnish me. I already gave you face by not reporting it to the emperor, yet you dare so venomously spit blood. Bairuoli glared at Huang Yuli frostily. She held absolute faith that she would not be held accountable. After all, for a genius like her, to bully her younger sister is not a grave or offensive thing. That could not be considered much at all. So, today's events in the face of her revealed talent, they would not be enough to pose any threat. What Bairuochi was afraid of, was her current actions may possibly not be giving the emperor due respect. If she was captured, she would be in the wrong. But under the current circumstances, the emperor did not see her take out any knife. He assumed that she was only quarreling with Huang Yuli. With such assumptions, she did not have to worry at all. As expected, before the emperor could say anything, the imperial empress was a step ahead and spoke out. Enough, today's affairs, this royal already understands. This matter was provoked by that charlatan Dr. Liu. Just then, the emperor had personally commanded that Dr. Liu will be sent to Dark Moon Forest for manual labor. You can also listen on. As she said this, the imperial empress's line of sight passed over by Ruochi and Huang Yuli. As for you two, you are still cousins and both are young misses of Wuwei Manor. To quarrel so openly in the royal palace and from just a few words of an outsider. Too unsightly. In the future, with this matter over, do not dare to mention it ever again. Return and carefully reflect on yourselves. Each one of you copy the female virtues 5 times. Once you are done, hand it to this royal. Finishing her words, the imperial empress appeared to be quite just. In actuality, she was still protecting Bairuochi. If they were to really conduct an in-depth investigation, then it would be Bairuochi's fault. At the time of the two's location, everyone in the area witnessed all that occurred. They will all say that it was Bairuochi who started everything. Of course, as a person who could not cultivate, no matter what, Huang Yuli would not have the guts to provoke a Qi Profound Realm 7th level practitioner, Bairuochi. Therefore, the imperial empress intended to stumble by this matter completely, giving both parties a crime that could not considered a crime. Then give some punitive punishment to settle the case. She would absolutely not allow such matters to interfere with the crown prince's great affairs. The emperor was somewhat angry but also wanted to punish Bairuochi severely, at least lecture her to some degree. This would warn her not to bully Huang Yuli in the future. However, after listening to the words of the imperial empress, he remembered the conclusion that came to back in the Empress Dowager's study. It is the important day to decide the future concubines of the crown prince, and Bairuochi's talent absolutely could not be lost. As for the other matters, they can sort it in the future. Moreover, the two's argument caused the emperor to further trust the conclusion the imperial tutor and imperial empress came to. Huang Yuli is a wastrel and could not marry the crown prince. She really did not have the ability to suppress the members of the harem. To find her a rich but ordinary husband will make her life very comfortable. Thinking to her here, the emperor's eyes fell on Prince Yu thoughtfully. The emperor nodded and said, "By Ruochi, you are the elder sister. In any case, you should always give way for your younger sister. Moreover, you may even have to be sister-in-laws, needing to coexist in harmony." With his remark, a burst of excitement appeared on Bai Ruochi and the crown prince's faces. What sister-in-laws do they mean? It's unlikely that they will allow Bai Ruochi to marry an ordinary prince, right? Obviously, the emperor was implying that Bai Ruochi had been chosen as the imperial concubine, while Huang Yueli, most likely, is going to wed another prince. Bai Ruochi hurriedly went to her knees and said, "Yes, Cheer knows she is wrong and will remember this. I will listen to the instructions of the Imperial Empress and go back to give her a good reflection. Diligently reflect on myself. Third sister's 5 copies of female virtues I will complete in her instead." If one had not seen her previous actions, just based on her current performance, she really looked like a good elder sister. However, the emperor had just learned from the Empress Dowager, Bai Ruochi's true colors. So looking at her this performance, he could not help but sigh a little more. What a pity, one cannot have both moral character and strength. If Bai Liufeng's own daughter could have that cultivation instead, how good would that be? Alas, he could only wishfully dream. Huang Yueli looked at the emperor and imperial empress faces, her heart clearer than ever. It seems these palace giants had come to a conclusion. They had decided to make Bai Ruochi the crown prince's imperial concubine. However, this was simply to be expected. Huang Yueli also felt that the emperor had nothing to be apologetic about. In the face of Bai Ruochi's excellent display of talent, if the emperor did not choose her, he would have been the retarded one. You can also listen on. In the Tianling continent where the strong ruled the weak, if a ruler were too kind, then that country would have long disappeared in the annals of history. But, if Bai Ruochi believed she was already sitting in the seat of imperial concubine, then she was much too naive. The corners of Huang Yueli's mouth gently hooked up. Her trip today was to prevent Bai Ruochi from becoming the imperial concubine. How could she possibly leave her satisfied? Coming to this juncture of the show, it was time for her to take the stage. Deciding on this course, she retreated without a sound. Bai Ruochi misunderstood as she had finally realized her place. Thinking to herself, she recalled the countless times she had plotted against Huang Yueli. Finally she was able to gain the upper hand, letting out a breath of resentment. Bai Ruochi felt happy inside and turned to look proudly at her. The emperor returned to his seat and looked at the audience with complex expressions. He then gestured towards Eunuch Han behind to read out the imperial edict. Eunuch Han stepped forward and slowly started to open the bright yellow silk decree to read aloud, accepting the heavenly mandate, the emperor imperial words, Wu Wei Manor by Liujing's daughter Bai Ruochi, with outstanding talent, appearance and virtue, gentle and generous, worthy of the name of model woman, a special bestowment of princely Majuan, imperial concubine, will be finalized. Acknowledge this. The silence reigned in the banquet hall. Despite having guessed the end result, but when everyone saw such an arrogant and vicious Bai Ruochi finally receiving the crown prince's imperial concubine status, many young ladies felt indignant. But who told her to have such powerful talent? The more one thought, the madder they became. Bai Ruochi kneeled in the middle and reluctantly suppressed a smile. Respectfully she kowtowed and took the imperial edict from Eunuch Han. However, just as her fingers touched the bright yellow silk scroll, she heard a familiar voice. Wait. I want to protest. No one expected in such a solemn setting, someone dared to interrupt. And so unceremoniously. Everyone's eyes immediately turned to the speaker's direction. The next moment, wows echoed about. That's Bai Ruochi. She dared to jump out to protest. Hey, what will happen with her protest? The emperor has already decided. Even if the date is not fixed, what qualifications does she have to compete with by Ruochi? Then you are the ignorant one. If you do not have the qualifications, you would not jump outright. From what I heard, Bai Lu Feng left some letter for her. Oh, in any case, this will be a good show to watch. Whispering amongst themselves, the various Golden Spoon daughters held many gloating faces. Although they did not believe Huang Yueli could really pose a threat to Bai Ruochi, but who allowed Bai Ruochi to be this eye-catching? To be able to give her some trouble will make them very happy. Bai Ruochi wished to kill Huang Yueli with her eyes. Bai Ruoli. You again. What do you want to do? Huang Yu blinked pitifully, appearing like being severely bullied little white cabbage. Second sister, I did not want to do that. It should be me asking you what you want to do. You know I have a marriage agreement with the Crown Prince, how can steal other people's love? Furthermore, it is your future brother-in-law. If this were to spread, others will think that our Bai family lacks upbringing. You can also listen on. You. When Bai Ruochi heard those words, her face changed greatly from Huang Yueli's sharp intentions. These days, there were many people who gossiped in regards to the bullying of her cousin. And that she also stole of the position of Wu Wei Manors by family's young miss and snatched her brother-in-law. Although Bai Ruochi felt she deserved all these things, but the ugly words of outsiders had greatly upset her. Now this trash girl dared to step on her sore feet. Was she tired of living? She sneered, Bai Ruoli, please understand this. That was the emperor's verbal agreement, while I am appointed as the imperial concubine through an official imperial edict. The so-called marriage agreement between you and the crown prince is but casual and random side talk. It cannot be taken seriously. As a girl, speaking of marriage so easily, robbing cherished things, do you still have face? Second sister, the meaning behind a thief calling out a thief, I have realized today. I have tolerated you previously, but you are pushing harder and harder. Since this is the case, do not blame me for my ruthlessness. Huang Yueli turned her cold eyes away. Bai Ruochi almost laughed out loudly. You want to treat me ruthlessly? How will you do that? Huang Yueli looked at her with an arrogant smile, eyes more chilling than ever. She no longer paid attention to Bai Ruochi and turned to face the emperor. Bowing slightly, she gestured filled with politeness. Looking up, she unscrupulously opened her mouth. Your Majesty, there is one thing Lear does not quite understand. I heard, before my father left South Yu, he had left behind a marriage agreement and that was with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. My daddy left me a letter to explain this matter, writing that when I turn 15, the emperor would bestow me with marriage and fulfill the marriage engagement of that year. Pausing slightly, Huang Yueli's teeth gently bit her pink lips. Her red eyes filled with unlimited grievances. I thought that the reason your Majesty invited me to the royal palace today is for this marriage affair. How would I expect? Why did you bestow that upon my second sister, and announce her as the imperial concubine? Did you make mistake somewhere? Huang Yueli spoke with great control and levelness. First she mentioned Bai Lu Feng, evoking old sentiments from within the emperor, and then put on an aggrieved retreating stance to ask if there was a mistake. This is much better than direct questioning. At least, the emperor himself would feel a little hard-pressed to answer in time. This thing was quite correct. He also felt very apologetic. This, Shen has Shen's considerations. Could it be, I had done something wrong? No, this is not your problem. Li girl, you do not be sad. Although you cannot be the imperial concubine, but Shen still many other talented sons. You can pick anyone you please. Shen's next imperial edict will bestow you as Princess Changel, 3,000 cattle and the best piece of land to the east to you. Giving you the best scenery. The emperor appeased her. After listening to this, apart from the crown prince and Prince Yu, everyone displayed expressions like they had just eaten flies. Royal father will not really do so, in the place of the crown prince, and make them marry a cultivational trash. Whoever marries this blockage of a woman, wouldn't they be doomed and unable to crawl away from that tragic life? Although she had a generous dowry, looks very cute, but how could this woman be their main concubine? Among them, the third prince felt the most crisis. As the next best talented prince behind the crown prince, he felt that Huang Yueli will surely choose him. After all, not only is he elegant, he was also a handsome expert. You can also listen on. Unable to marry such a talented woman such as Bai Ruoqi, the third prince already felt quite unlucky. Unexpectedly, an even worse outcome was presented to him. And that was to wed that wastrel. The third prince frowned and looked to his handsome second elder brother. A light bulb lit up. He patted Li Moying's shoulder and said, "Second brother, why are you not trying your chance and marry third young Miss Bai? People like third young Miss Bai with status, beauty and dowry are rare. Handsome and beautiful, of all our brothers, you two make a perfect match." The third prince shuffled to Li Moying's side, seeming to whisper when in fact, his voice was audible and very one could clearly his words. His words held intentional sinister tones. In fact, this was to remind the emperor and imperial empress, there was a more suitable candidate for Huang Yueli. Quickly give Li Moying to her and prevent future detrimental after effects. These words, on the surface it complimented the two people, while secretly implying both only possess a good-looking face. Apart from this, they had nothing. So they suit each other the most. What kind of person is Li Moying? How could he possibly miss that hint? His pair of fierce eyes swept over the third prince without notice, inwardly sneering. Simply did not know the circumstances. But the third prince said that he and the little fox were the perfect match. In light of this comment, he will spare him today. Li Moying's beautifully shaped lips, along with his slender fingers, gently knocked the tabletop. In a flat tone, he said, "Even if I am willing to marry, third young Miss Bai may not be willing." Although he spoke casually, his heart was secretly anticipating the result. If these two could really establish a marriage engagement. Of course, this was his innermost wish. Sure enough, when Huang Yueli heard this, she immediately interrupted him. "Of course I do not want to. My daddy said that my agreement is with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. This little heartless little girl." Liamote's shadow almost chopsticks in the hands to the broken. Although he also knew that Huang Yueli did not intentionally go against him, but to achieve her other motives. However, to hear her disdain for him and refuse to consider the slightest possibility of a marriage with him but another man. This feeling, it created unspeakable agony. Only God knew in that instant, he had an illusion, secretly holding his breath in hopes that the little fox will smile bashfully while agreeing to marry him. The crown prince's pride was satisfied. Heart happy, he deliberately faced Li Moying and laughed, "Second brother, I am sorry. I did not hold intentions of stealing from you, truly did not expect, third young Miss Bai would be so persistent, such a pretty little beauty, insistent of marrying him, and doing her utmost to go against her heaven-given talented cousin." The crown prince naturally misunderstood her intentions. He assumed Huang Yueli was quite dedicated towards him. He could not help but feel lucky. But he also knew, if Huang Yueli must marry him, he could not disappoint either beauty. Presumably after giving her the position of first-side concubine, she will be flattered to the point of tears. Li Moying clenched his hands into a fist as his eyes coldly shone. He restrained the impulse to beat the crown prince up. His little fox, was she someone that Li Majuan could hold any intentions towards to? You can also listen on. When she saw the embarrassed flush on the emperor's face, the imperial empress knew that she had to take on the role of the antagonist. She immediately said, "Li girl, you seem to have misunderstood something." Or, perhaps Bai Lu Feng recalled incorrectly. The agreement between the Bai Lu Feng and the emperor is true in its rights, but it did not explicitly state your name, Bai Ruoli with the crown prince. Is that so? That's right. The imperial tutor chimed in. At that time of Lord Bai's and the emperor's verbal marriage engagement, this old man was also present. They said that the emperor's most talented marshal's son will be paired with Wu Wei Manor's most outstanding daughter. No one said Bai Ruoli. Huang Yu snorted and coldly ridiculed, "Is that so? Anyway, my daddy is gone. The affairs of that time, whatever you claim to be true will be true, no. Besides, I was not born then, so I didn't even have a name. Of course it will be impossible for any names to appear." You. Stifled by her response, the imperial tutor did not know how to refute her because Huang Yueli's words were completely justified. In the end, he simply said, "As a stately imperial tutor of the fourth realm, would I, this old one, deceive a little girl like you?" These words sounded almost like something a hoodlum would say. Huang Yu sarcastically replied, "Imperial tutor, if you wish to help your newly appointed female disciple, it is better to just say it straightforwardly. Why bother with theatrics? Save yourself from despise and curses of disrespect." An astonished look covered the imperial tutor's face. You dare to talk to this senior like so? Who gave you such courage?" Honestly, it had been quite some time since the imperial tutor was last spoken to in such a way, with a finger pointed at his nose. Even the emperor himself spoke to him with courtesy. Now, a cultivational wastrel even dared to say so rudely that he was a disrespectful senior. The imperial tutor even had a flashing thought that he might have been hallucinating. This damned girl, how dare she? Even though Huang Yueli saw the outrage in his eyes, she continued to smile widely. Didn't she only scold the old man with a few words? What was there to be afraid of? She burned this old man's beard and also sent a flying dagger to his forehead. Was she not still alive without injury? In fact, she could have continued to act pitifully and con by Ruochi from the shadows. However, with the various situations happening one after the other, she had lost patience. Huang Yueli no longer wished to continue in this crazy and idiotic charade. It was no longer necessary. Didn't they say because of Bai Ruochi's crushing strength, she could walk sideways, bully cousin and inverting black to white without any price? Unfortunately, in front of her Huang Yueli, Bai Ruochi's so-called strength, can only be deemed a joke. She would like to personally teach Bai Ruochi an unforgettable lesson. And let these people see who was the true trash. Determined with her next course of actions, Huang Yueli did not hold any more hesitations. She sneered and said, "Why can't I speak to you? Merely a fourth realm. If you spoke with reason, then I will treat you with respect necessary for a senior. But since you told such lies with your eyes open, I refuse to listen any further." Everyone drew a cold breath. Unimaginable, Bai Ruoli had always been timid and cowardly. Yet she was currently saying such things. Merely a fourth realm. Did she know exactly how rare and powerful fourth realm experts were? You can also listen on. In the entire country of South Yu's history, less than 100 fourth realm experts were recorded. However, that the spectators just remembered, this little girl was the daughter of Bai Lu Feng. While alive, he was rumored to have reached the seventh realm. With such an outstanding father, not being able to put a fourth realm expert in her eyes, seemed, maybe, probably, quite logical. But the problem is, she herself was a good-for-nothing wastrel. Shut up. Seeing the face of the imperial tutor, Bairuochi quickly jumped out, blocking the imperial tutor. Bairuoli, you are mental. In order to marry the crown prince, you have the Audi city to just say anything. My master has already explained to you how the marriage engagement was established. So for me to become the crown prince's fiancé is completely justifiable. Yet you dare speak so brazenly and rudely. Is it fun? Seeing this, the imperial empress also chimed in. Enough, do not bicker. This royal understands the dissatisfaction, but for the emperor to act this, is also out of consideration to you. With your cultivation, even if married into the crown prince's palace, it is impossible for you to compete against the other side concubines. She paused, then said, besides, the engagement that year, this royal was also present. The emperor, empress dowager, were also present. They can all testify for the imperial tutor. Would so many people lie to you? Looking at the hypocritical smile, Huang Yueli slowly raised the corners of her mouth. Since even the imperial empress claimed it is a misunderstanding, then it must be. Believing she was persuaded, the imperial empress' heart let out a breath. You understand. Huang Yueli continued, in other words, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince fiancé should be South Yu's most talented young lady. Is that correct? The imperial empress did not understand why she would repeat the imperial tutor's words. However, those were true, so the imperial empress nodded. That's right. Smiling ironically, Huang Yueli turned around and looked at Bairuochi. In that case, I find it weird. If Bairuochi is not the most powerful in South Yu, nor is she the most gifted, why can she become the imperial concubine? Bairuochi angrily shouted, what do you mean? I am the most powerful in South Yu and the most talented. Just then we all saw that had reached the Chi Profound Realm 9th level at only 15 years old. I also used one move to defeat Lu Yi. Who else is my opponent? So what if you defeat Lu Yi? Huang Yu discontentedly said, is it only Lu Yi the only female cultivator? Maybe there's some people waiting to challenge you. Bairuochi exaggerated, out, it's not waiting to challenge me, but they dare not to. After all, none of them are my opponents. If you do not believe me, I would like to ask everyone if they are better than me. If they are not satisfied with me becoming the imperial concubine, they are free to challenge me. Who is going to come? Her glance circled around the young ladies seated in the audience. They all avoided her gaze. Let alone words, no one dared to step out. Was she joking? They were not here to suffer abuse. Bairuochi was at the Chi Profound Realm 9th level. Let alone a move, they were not able to contend at all. Seeing no one dared to answer, her expression became brighter. She cast a sidelong glance to Huang Yueli and said, did you see? No one dared to challenge me, therefore I am the strongest. No, there's still someone here to challenge you. Who? Who else is there? Huang Yueli stared straight into her eyes and carefully articulated each word. There is still me. You can also listen on. There is still me. Once that remark came out, the banquet hall fell silent for a long period of time. With eyes wide open, they subconsciously cleared their ears. They seriously suspected they had all misheard. The publicly known super trash actually wanted to go against a heavenly gifted 4th grade talent. This was inconceivable. Simply too impossible. Either everyone made a mistake, or a donkey had kicked Bairuoli in the head. Even Bairuochi was left shocked. And after a moment's silence, she burst out laughing. Third sister, you can't be. I must have heard wrong, I actually heard you say that you wish to challenge me. You did not hear wrong. Huang Yueli faintly said, I want to challenge you, right here and right now. Unable to come to an understanding, Bai Ruoqi stared at her with exaggerated eyes. Taking several looks from head to bottom, an overjoyed smile curved up from her mouth. I say, third sister, aren't you a bit too riled up? Are you going to challenge me? Are you joking? Huang Yueli smiled back, I'm not kidding, second sister. Could it be, you don't dare? Everyone's jaws nearly dropped to the ground. Third young Miss Bai had the courage to ask if she dared to or not. She is looking for death. Never had they seen someone looking for death. Could it be she was afraid she couldn't die fast enough, so wished to throw herself onto daggers? Bai Ruoqi felt this was even more unexpected, but then she smirked. Third sister, you really want to challenge me? You have to think clearly. You cannot cultivate, but you wish to challenge me with a cultivation at the 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm? Yes, my mind is very clear. Looking at the funny and exaggerated expression, Huang Yueli's voice remained calm as always. If Bai Ruoyi is really certain, then there was certainly a problem with her third sister's brain. This waste really wanted to challenge her. This almost seemed like a very funny joke. A waste was a waste. She should tuck her tail and behave with integrity, obediently, and marry that waste of a prince. But she dared hold the dream of marrying the crown prince. Daring to challenge her, a martial genius. This was too unbelievable. Just as Bai Ruoqi was hesitating whether to say no to such a fine opportunity to beat this waste and to retaliate back for the embarrassing herself in the front of the Empress Dowager earlier in the morning. This dead girl actually sent herself knocking. She can no longer blame her then. Even if an arm or leg breaks, Huang Yueli asked for it. Bai Ruoqi's mouth showed a trace of a sinister smile. Third sister, do not act this way. I know you impulsive, so you must think clearly or you will regret it. Although, to retract the challenges is a very disgraceful action, but you are a wastrel. This must be treated differently, and no need to feel burdened. On the surface, she persuaded Huang Yueli to retract her challenge. She was goading her on from the shadows. For people with even if a little bit of pride, after listening such words, they would be too embarrassed to shrink back. Huang Yu shook his head, smiled, second sister, you do not need to persuade me. I will not retract the challenge, but on the contrary, you have to think clearly. Otherwise you might be thick-skinned and refuse to admit anything after your loss. I will lose to you. Refuse to admit. Bai Ruoqi laughed so much that her eyes teared. She then said, okay, you make a lot of sense. How about we ask His Majesty to bear witness for us? You can also listen on. Listening to their conversation, the emperor's head swelled up twice its size. In fact, he felt that allowing Huang Yueli to wed Prince Yu was the best possible option for her. Everyone else felt so too. He really did not understand why Huang Yueli would disagree. Moreover, is there a problem with her brain, challenging Bai Ruoqi like that? Did she know what she was doing? For ordinary people like her, they could not even poke Bai Ruoqi. Li girl, you really do not have to be so impulsive. Although the crown prince is very good, but there are other princes who are dragoned amongst men. You do not like Moying. It does not matter. There is still old 3 Mohan. Mohan is also a 4th-grade talent and looks very handsome. With the emperor's vigorous marketing, the third Princess Li Mohan's face turned more and more ugly. In fact, he also wanted to take the talent by Ruoqi as his imperial concubine. But he is far lacking compared to his brother. Fortunately, Huang Yueli soon refused, thank you your majesty, but Lear must challenge second sister and properly fight with her. Li Mohan drew cold breath. That was the same as being rejected. Compared to his previously mood, Li Mohan became more angry and depressed. Li Mohan's entire expression was like he was fleeing for his life. The emperor had no choice but to make some concessions. Well, if you must fight, it is not impossible. You will first exchange a few blows. However, your strikes must remain light, or it will affect relationships and feelings. The emperor was afraid that Huang Yueli would suffer serious damage. So he specifically stressed for Ba Ruoqi to show mercy. Bai Ruoqi immediately showed a look of embarrassment. Your Majesty, in a bout, there are many uncontrollable things. If any unexpected occurs, Chier cannot afford this responsibility. Bai Ruoqi words could be considered reasonable. In any match, it is impossible to ensure that both sides remain uninjured. The emperor could only say, just be as careful as you can. Bai Ruoqi courtesy answered yes, but she quietly smirked. This so-called sword without eyes, with the gap between the two so big, to seriously injure that girl accidentally would be quite fair and reasonable. They slowly walked to the ring, causing the sight to erupt in a ruckus. Everyone present had been too shocked from all the excitement and stir from the banquet to properly conduct themselves in front of the emperor. My God, is this true? Bai Ruoli, that waste will really challenge Bai Ruoqi. How can such a thing happen? Did water fill Bai Ruoli's head? My lord, can she overestimate herself anymore? She is looking for death. Everyone felt that Huang Yueli had definitely gone crazy. Not a single person believed that her current action stated she held the ability to defeat Bai Ruoqi. With the results of this competition, everyone's opinion was the same. There will be no suspense. After all, the gap is just far too big too. As the audience discussed amongst themselves, two girls stood on the stage facing each other. The Imperial Empress opened her mouth and said, "This is a competition. Wu Wei Manor's third young Miss Bai Ruoli challenges Wu Wei Manor's second young Miss Bai Ruoqi. Both of you have decided?" "I have thought it over. I wish to challenge Bai Ruoqi." "I accept the challenge." Both of them answered without hesitation. This the Imperial Empress replied, "In that case, let the competition officially start." In accordance with the friendly competition etiquette, the both sides need to exchange names, and politely pay their respect to the opponent. Bai Ruoqi smiled casually and spoke first. "I am Wu Wei Manor's Bai Ruoqi, cultivation at the Qi Profound Realm 9th level, please enlighten me." Finishing her words, she contemptuously looked at Huang Yueli, waiting to see how this shamelessly thing will introduce herself. Huang Yueli returned her look with a cold smile. Lips gently openly, her voice is extremely cold and clear. "Wu Wei Manor Bai Ruoli, cultivation," she paused. Everyone's eyes fell on her, while some people felt embarrassed for her. Under the watchful eyes, to introduce yourself is a waste. What kind of spirit did she have? Cultivation at the Qi Profound Realm 9th level, please enlighten. You can also listen on. Finishing her words flatly, Huang Yueli looked at Bai Ruoqi with a composed expression. Bai Ruoqi was completely stunned. The entire banquet hall had also fallen silent, as everyone fell into shock. Not long afterwards, waves of laughter spread through the area. Has this third young Miss Bai gone mad? Or is she just delusional? I reckon she has gone mad. Such a pity, she actually looks quite decent. And to become crazy just like that. Bai Ruoqi nearly spit out. I say, my third sister, if you're going to lie, please least make a draft. Seeing that I am at the Qi Profound Realm 9th level, you decided to say you are too. Let me tell you, it's not that simple. You must have the corresponding power. Otherwise, without knowing the immensity of the heavens and earth, you will only turn yourself into a joke. Huang Yueli raised her eyebrow. How do you know? I did not have the corresponding power. Bai Ruoqi sneered. How would I not know? Not only do I know, everyone here also knows that my third young Miss Bai is a cultivational wastrel. Not even mentioning the Chi Profound Realm 9th level, if you are able to reach the first level, the sun will be rising from the west. Lifting her head to look up into the sky, Huang Yueli smiled. A pity, it seems that the sun did not rise from the west today. Rubbish. Bia Ruochi continued to sneer and smirk, the naturally would not rise from the west. So you have a cultivation at the Chi, profound, realm. Stopping her words midway, she suddenly opened her eyes wide like she had seen a ghost. Rigidly, she stared at the young girl in front of her. It was like she could not recognize the person in front of her. Stepping half a step forwards, Wang Yueli revolved the profound qi inside her and released it out. The profound qi quickly dispersed around her, covering the banquet hall with a fine pressure. Everyone once again revealed expressions of shock. While some more delicate young ladies could not resist against this pressure and went to clutch their stomachs in pain. While the people whose cultivations were above Huang Yueli, for example the imperial tutor, the emperor and people like the crown prince, were even further shocked. They repeatedly shook their heads and looked at her, revealing the same stunned expression. Only then could they verify, they were not dreaming. Bai Ruoli has already reached the Chi Profound Realm 9th level. The Crown Prince's jaw narrowly avoided dropping to the floor. You did not sense wrongly. She has truly the Chi Profound Realm 9th level. With great effort, the Emperor blinked his eyes and voiced his confirmation. But his voice betrayed his true feelings. After some time, the Imperial Tutor said to Huang Yueli, not only is she at the Chi Profound Realm 9th level, her profound chi is extremely pure. Danton expansive, profound power unmuddled. Many times more powerful than ordinary Chi Profound Realm 9th level practitioners. The Imperial Empress grasped the handkerchief within her hands and asked, but, how could this be? Third young Miss Bai is a cultivational wastrel. She has undergone many talent tests, all indicating she is unable to cultivate. Since when she able to cultivate? Why has she suddenly reached the Chi Profound Realm 9th level? How could this be? Just how did she achieve this? This question hung the minds of every one single person. But no one could answer this or find the true reason behind all of this. Even Li Moying had been left puzzled as to how this little fox jumped from a waste to cultivational genius. Nonetheless, when compared to astonished moods of the rest of the audience, he was quite happy. As a result, he did not feel any abnormalities with this revelation. You can also listen on. The little woman he liked, of course, she would be a peerless genius. And of course, she could easily break through, and of course she could illogically crush all opponents. As for why this was the case, Li Moying also did not understand. But he felt there was no need to understand. Deep in his heart, there seemed to be a voice that told him things should be like this, and for the many years to come, it will always be the case. Very soon, the audience discovered a key point. If I remember correctly, Bai Ruoli, she is only 14 years old. Yeah, if you're a year younger than Bai Ruochi. So to say, a 14-year-old Chi Profound Realm 9th level practitioner. Once this remark was made, everyone drew in a cold breath. Just now, news of Bai Ruochi reaching the 9th level at 15 years is already regarded as an unsurpassed genius, sought after in every possible way. Even the emperor and the imperial tutor would consider whether she would go to neighboring countries and the consequences that would ensue. Then what about now? Huang Yueli was only 14 years old. What concept was this? From the start of the cultivation path, every year was very precious. Let alone the thought breaking through earlier. Just 1 month, 1 day earlier would display a very obvious advantage over their peers. You can also say that you must seize every second, every moment. To achieve a cultivation of the 9th level of the Chi Profound Realm at the age of 15, generally only 5th grade talents would be able to achieve this. If Bai Ruoqi did not eat that bottle of precious pills, there is no possibility of her attaining such heights. As for a 14-year-old 9th level Chi Profound Realm practitioner, that required a talent of at least the 6th level. Moreover, over time, at least you could reach the 6th realm, there is hope to advance to the 7th realm. The 7th realm, in the entire South Sky region, is considered monstrous. Able to exterminate South Yu with a single wave of their hand. That third young Miss Ba, South Yu's most famous waste materials, a big idiot, how could she be a 6th grade talent? And when exactly did she transform from a waste to a genius? The emperor looked at Huang Yueli's beautiful face, his face showing a trace of appreciation as he exclaimed, "Li girl is really not simple. Obviously having a 6th grade talent, but to quietly practice for so many years. Ignoring all gossip from the outside and finally astonishing everyone today. With such a heart, your future will definitely be grand." The Empress Dowager also happily said, "Ai Jia knows that the daughter of Bai Lu Feng will surely inherit his talent too. How could she be a waste?" While the Imperial Empress, Imperial Tutor and the Crown Prince's face were very ugly indeed. Of course, they would not be happy. After all, they put all attention on Bai Ruoqi, while neglecting the true treasure. It seems that Bai Ruoqi is by no means a genius. Everyone had been too hasty. While in actuality, it is the always inconspicuous third young Miss Bai. Just why did they reject the marriage between the Bai family's third young miss? Only then were they regretful. The crowd discussed this discovery with vigor, all of them voicing their exclamations and praises towards Huang Yueli. However, what they did not know was Huang Yueli did not painstaking cultivate for a few years for such a surprise today. She spent only half an hour to directly rise from the ranks of an ordinary person to the peak of the Chi Profound Realm. If this was revealed, words would not stop at heaven-shocking genius. However, Huang Yueli would not announce such things out. She is not a young girl, naturally she knows that some truths must be hidden. You can also listen on. The Tianling continent always respected the strong, so a person always needed to show their strength in order to gain the respect of their peers. But they must also hide their trump cards. People's hearts were sinister. If outsiders were to learn of her special physique and her heaven-defying cultivational technique, then she would be in great danger. With her current circumstances, it would be perfect if they continued to believe in that assumption. She didn't allow them to see through anything or provoke unwanted trouble. In the midst of the hubbub, only one person had a face the color of a pig's liver, their body trembling. That was Bai Ruoqi. She really did not think that the damned girl would really be at the 9th level of the Chi Profound Realm. How was this possible? This must be a fake. That damned girl was lying, right? Bai Ruoqi sorely wished that this is only an illusion, but even the Imperial Tutor can confirm Huang Yueli's cultivation. The Imperial Tutor was a master, so his judgment could not be false. Of course, more importantly, Huang Yueli was standing right opposite of her. More than anyone else, Bai Ruoqi clearly felt the surging qi emitting from Huang Yueli's body. Moreover, Huang Yueli's profound qi was many times more pure and powerful than hers. Just by calmly standing, an incomparable momentum permeated and filled the area with a strong pressure. This feeling did not feel like someone at the peak of the Chi Profound Realm, but more like a powerful expert on the level of the Imperial Tutor. Bai Ruoqi did not know why she felt this way. But the pressure Huang Yueli inflicted on her was that immense. Huang Yueli's cultivation is in no such way fake. This was simply no way to falsify this. But why? Why was this damned girl on the same level as her? And, from the surge of profound chi, she seems to be better than her. How could this be? How could this be? Bai Ruoqi almost crushed her teeth. After a while of speechlessness, she finally forced out, You really are at the 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm? When did you reach this? Why do I not know this? Huang Yueli smiled and said, I broke through 5 days ago, just like second sister 3 days prior. I am sorry, I advanced 2 days earlier than you. Bai Ruoqi was furious. Who asked you this? I ask you, you clearly can cultivate and have such a high talent. Why would you still pose as a wastrel? Are you playing with me? Huang Yueli replied particularly innocently, When did I say that I was a waste? That's simply your own opinion. Obviously your own mind is not good, believing yourself to be infallible. How can you claim that I tricked you? You think I enjoyed being labeled as a wastrel? You. Bai Ruoqi was left speechless. Right, this damned girl never said she was a wastrel. But was it necessary to verbally confirm such things? Everyone has eyes, no. However, why could no one can tell she is a genius? Most definitely, she had been scheming from the shadows. Bai Ruoqi angrily said, This is clearly intentional. I'm warning you, do not you think from secretly cultivation to the 9th level of the Qi Profound Realm is anything. You have never acknowledged a master, so your battle ability, you still lacking. Huang Yueli shrugged her shoulders, feeling ridiculous inside. You can also listen on. I say, second sister, you speak a lot of drivel. I just challenged you and you clearly accept it. You have yet to strike and instead you speak such nonsense. If you are afraid, please take the initiative to admit defeat. I do not have to fight against you. You jest. Me afraid of a trash like you. Bai Ruoqi looked at her with ridicule. Blurting out such words without hesitation due to her irritation. But she regretted them as soon as they left her mouth. Because this damned girl was not a waste. She really was a little scared. A 14-year-old at the peak Qi Profound Realm and suspected 6th grade talent. This was a super genius that's several levels above her. In her entire life, Bai Ruoqi had never encountered such a brilliant talent. Just thinking about it softened her legs. If the person were any other 6th grade talent, Bai Ruoqi would have long turned pale from fright without any resistance, she would immediately surrender. However, standing before her, was the trash of her third sister. Someone she could wantonly decimate, the weak and cowardly Bai Ruoqi. She could lose to anyone but not this little cheap girl. To regret and retreat after just accepting the challenge would already be very embarrassing. Not to mention, it was against the person she most despised. To her, it would be 100 times more embarrassing in comparison to being killed directly. Bai Ruoqi anxiously stared at Huang Yueli, trying hard to suppress the fear in her heart. Inwardly she tried to convince herself to fight. She did not know how her third sister hid her cultivation. And with any formal learning, therefore, it would be impossible for her to learn profound skills. Of course, with Bai Lu Feng as her father, she assumed he would leave his daughter with a couple advanced profound skills and the like. That would explain the fast and ridiculous advancements. However, a real battle was completely different from practice. Even if two people executed the same skill, different practice methods and applications would be the ultimate deciding factor of the battle. This damned girl had no master, so even if Bai Lu Feng left any high-level skills for her, no one taught her how to use them. With this, coupled with her long-term publicly recognized wastrel title, she could not gain any experience from sparring with others. So this was the question. Although this damned girl possessed a high cultivation, but did she know how to use her profound chi in a fight? Considering this question, A smile gradually rose on Bairuochi's as she discovered this weakness of hers. Bairuochi's mood also became more relaxed. Yes, that little slut does not understand how to fight. Did she think high profound chi will allow her to win? Much too naive. She came to give lessons to this girl, so she let her know what a real practitioner is like. How would the pitiful Bairuochi know? Huang Yueli opposite her was in no way a rookie fighter. Huang Yueli's combat experience could place her in the top 10 of the entire Tianling continent. But when it came combat perception and talent, she was second only to Mo Qingying. Even if there were 10,000 Bairuokis, they still will not be her opponent. Making up her mind, Bairuochi immediately stepped over and said, "Since you are saying such things, then I will not be polite. Do not blame me for not reminding you, but I have learned the ancestral skills of our Bai family, Frost Thorns. This is a black grade middle level profound skill. You can also listen on." Black grade middle level. The Bai family actually has a black grade middle level profound skill. So powerful. Lu Yi's Gale Blades were only at the black grade lower level. The level of young misses from Wuwei Manor is really a tier higher. Previously, just by profound techniques, Bairuochi already won. Cries of surprise rang out around them. Bairuochi becoming more and more smug as she looked at Huang Yueli. Huang Yueli replied unenthusiastically, "Isn't it because of my daddy that our Bai family is able to possess a black grade middle level profound skill? Do you think I don't know it as well? You? Just learning it for a few days, you dare say you have mastered this technique? Let me tell you, only people with the ice attribute can cultivate the frost thorns. From what I can see, you have no attribute right. Furthermore, this technique has 36 different forms. You can learn them all." Bairuochi snorted disdainfully. Raising her eyebrow, Huang Yueli exclaimed, "It seems to be quite powerful. Why don't you display it for me to see what a black grade middle level skill is like? And how many forms can you execute?" Her leisurely attitude was somewhat similar to a teacher guiding a pig-headed student who believed themselves to be infallible. This angered Bairuochi to the point of spitting blood. Actually seeking death. Then I shall let you see. When the time comes and you are injured, don't come and blame me. As Bairuochi said this, she began to prepare her technique. As an ice-attributed practitioner, after executing the frost thorns, the banquet arena's temperature dropped by many degrees, while frost began to form in the area around her with a suction force. Furthermore, this forming of ice was done in an instant. As Bairuochi performed the hand seals, the ice condensed into piercing thorns covering the earth and skies. Then they swept towards Huang Yueli. "Bairuoli, catch this. Frost thorns." Huang Yueli greeted this with a frosty gaze. She did not move immediately. Seeing her motionless, Bairuochi assumed she had been petrified in fear, unable to move. As she was afraid she would not be able to overpower Huang Yueli, while the two were fighting it out, she pretended to lose in anger and send this move out. Under her predictions, her frost thorns and being the first to make a move, there was a 99% chance that Huang Yueli would be able to react in time. She will most certainly be hit. And everything was happening according to her plans. This damned girl didn't even know to move, and didn't put up any sort of defensive measures. This clearly indicated she lacked the tiniest bit of battle experience. These frost thorns will pierce her any moment now. Seeing these frost thorns about to reach Huang Yueli, Bairuochi smiled widely. However, just as those frost thorns were about to make contact, Huang Yueli lightly leaned to the side and allowed those thorns to fly past her. That tiny movement didn't even seem all that obvious. Onlookers only saw a shake of her body, and in the next instant, the frost thorns completely bypassed her. Bang! 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 The frost thorns embedded themselves firmly into the palace walls behind Huang Yueli, filling the entirely with clustered icicles. Seeing the numerous thorns on the wall sent shivers down the audience's back. Lord, too scary. Bai Ruoqi has already cultivated the frost thorn to small mastery, right? Only then will it have such effects. The palace walls are very strong, that even if you try to cut it with a knife, it will not leave any cracks. Yet these thorns are able to pierce directly in and create so many holes. If this were to land on a human body, you can also listen on. My God, hurry up and stop. Just thinking about it makes me feel pain all over my body. If Bai Ruoqi is this powerful, wouldn't her third sister be suffering a great calamity? Bai Ruoli should have no battle experience, right? Yes, Bai Ruoli will soon lose. Oh, what a pity. Everyone let out a long sigh. From the start of the fight till now, Huang Yueli had been constantly dodging Bai Ruoqi's attack without counter-attacking. Under that powerful momentum, Bai Ruoqi's hands formed various ice shards. Flashing under the dazzling sun, they looked very sharp and murderous. Move by move, in a blink of an eye, more than a dozen strikes were sent out. Under the onslaught of the frost thorns, it as if Huang Yueli's petite body would be skewered at any given time. Every time she dodged, it seemed she relied on good fortune to barely move aside. Only then was she able to survive with each passing graze. It was like watching a thriller movie. This happened several times. However, despite all those thrills, she was never hit. Even her new dress remained unscathed. After a long time, a few people sensed something was wrong. Third young Miss Bai's technique do not seem to match. This should be a movement-based skill. Seeing her steps are not very wide, it should be a footwork. No wonder she is Bai Liufeng's daughter, able to learn such things. Movement-related techniques are so very rare. From what I see, the two of them are incapable of dominating over the other. Can this be regarded as a tie? How can that be? If you look at Bai Ruoli closely, she only knows how to hide. Furthermore, every time she moves, those frost thorns are a hair's breadth away from touching. So sooner or later she will be hit. Most people agreed that if Bai Ruoli won, only Bai Ruoqi will know how embarrassing that will be for herself. Because, no matter how fierce her offensive was, and she even sealed all retreat paths, but she still failed to hit Huang Yueli. Each time she was able to easily move away. Others may view her as hiding, only Bai Ruoqi knew how amazing her footwork was. Rather than saying Huang Yueli was unable to dodge, it would be more appropriate to say she was too lazy to move. Making a few perfunctory movements will be more than enough. The more she did this, the colder Bai Ruoqi's heart turned. In this way, her profound qi will sooner or later be consumed. When she no longer has any more for energy, Huang Yulia will be able to easily attain victory then. Bai Ruoqi bit her teeth, crying out, Bai Ruoli, can you only hide? As Bai Liufeng's daughter, do you only know how to hide like a mouse? Can you not trade blows with me fairly? Huang Yueli chuckled, what's there to be afraid of? I just want to see what your frost thorns are like. Before she could finish her words, Bai Ruoqi suddenly accelerated her hand movements. In an overwhelming, she suddenly hit her. Go to hell. When a person speaks, the body's profound qi would then influenced and affecting the tempo of one's body. Bai Ruoqi deliberately lured Huang Yueli into talking. Then taking advantage of this pause, she suddenly moved in for the kill. My God! Bai Ruoqi initiated a surprise attack. Be careful. With Bai Ruoqi's entire infused into this final move, the speed of the frost thorn just doubled. Under the bright sun, it flew like a lightning bolt, sending out ear-screeching sounds. You can also listen on. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.